Hey, I am back once again. It is time for another playtest feedback video, this time on just playtest 7. I didn't actually get to play playtest 6. I was busy that weekend, but that's okay. I'm going to go over some of the changes that happened in 6, but for the most part, going to be focusing on my experience during playtest 7. Once again, same disclaimers, going to put them on the screen. There you go. Alright, let's get straight into it. I am so glad we have these higher scale maps now. They are so much fun, especially Dangerous Crossing. Dangerous Crossing was so much fucking fun, actually. More than I expected. I just thought, oh, I mean, it's an older map, so it's probably going to play relatively well, and I didn't expect the sheer chaos that came from Dangerous Crossing. I did play Dangerous Crossing once in Tribes Ascend recently. It was a few weeks ago. And yet, that felt less chaotic despite having more players. I think that was like an 11v11 or something. Just random pickup game. People were just playing just to play. And yet 7v7 Dangerous Crossing in Tribes 3 felt so much more chaotic and fun. I don't know why. I just know I really enjoyed it. And I really want more like it. It was a lot of fun. That said, I'm really sad I only got to play it twice. I was trying to play it all weekend, honestly. I didn't really feel like going to the Discord and going into custom matches just so I could play Dangerous Crossing. I think I maybe queued up for like 20 games before I got a single match of Dangerous Crossing. Torment 2, honestly, like I only got to play it 3 times. I barely got to play what I actually wanted to play. Maybe I could have done custom games in retrospect. I don't know, I expected that the 2 new maps would be featured more often in the map pool. This bad luck especially stung because after playing the new maps, I didn't want to go back to Wave Mist and Dry Dock anymore. Especially Wave Mist, right? Wave Mist just feels stale as hell. It's super flat, it looks uninteresting, and it's very restrictive. There's just not much interesting going on there. Kind of the same thing with Dry Dock, but at least Dry Dock has that interesting elevated base and the mountain in the middle. I think that makes for some interesting gameplay, but even so, those feel so much more restrictive to the 2 new maps that we have. Playing Tribes Ascend recently made it pretty clear to me why it is that some of the base maps in Tribes 3 felt so different. In Tribes Ascend, the maps that I played, they felt like it was this living, breathing world where there was an actual, like, team squadron game going on, where we are on this expansive planet, this expansive foreign alien planet, and there's some sense of wonder and fantasy to that.
I mean, dude, it's fucking beautiful. I don't know. There's something about the God rays shining through the trees. It makes me feel like I'm like Appalachia, like high on mushrooms with a weird ass hippie chick, like a white girl with fucking dreadlocks and bullshit. I'm joking.
10 if you can cap that.
Just keep it at base for 3,
Yeah,
2,
we're working on
fronts,
it.
fronts.
Brian.
Damn.
Tony, stand still. Take it, Tony. Go.
That's out.
Oh, purple's out.
I'm already almost dead. What the fuck?
And it doesn't feel like this game really has that much. I don't know. Anyways, I think that's enough ragging on the base Tribes 3 maps. I still like Katabatic at least, but I didn't even get to play Katabatic once this playtest. Again, bad map luck. Anyways, Torment. Torment was fun. Apparently a completely new map. Wasn't based on anything from a previous iteration of Tribes. And if that's the case, I hope they keep it up. I hope we get more like Torment. Torment was really cool. I liked it. It definitely had an entirely different aesthetic to it that we haven't seen in any of the current maps that exist. It shows that they are able to create maps that are more evocative of previous Tribes games, but still have their own unique spin on it. I think that's good. Please, keep it up. I think this is a great step in the right direction, honestly, and I hope that Prophecy does more. I really do. I do have a minor concern about Torment specifically not being mirrored. Maybe that's more of a concern for competitive play, and I don't know if I'll be doing too much of that, but regardless, I think it plays very well. I think it's a good Tribes map, and I'm hoping for more like it. Thank you, Prophecy. Though I'm not that much of a fan of the kind of enclosed sandbox feeling that I get from the base Tribes 3 maps. Ironically enough, the actual enclosed small sandbox map works pretty damn well. I mean, it is for a different game mode, but still, like, Honor Bomb was a lot of fun, honestly. I didn't play too much of it. I think I maybe played 2 games, but what I did play was pretty damn fun. I think it's a fun idea. I think Rocket League Tribes is pretty damn fun. I didn't exactly like how easy it was to score, and it felt very difficult to defend. But I assume that's going to get some tweaks. I am so relieved that we don't have wall hack player icons anymore. It felt really weird to have to play around it, especially when I was trying to do sniping, for example. It felt kind of necessary to just use those icons to pre-aim over hills and try and, shoot people before they can even react to me. And that just felt cheesy and kind of stupid, honestly. I'm glad we don't have those wallhack icons anymore. I have to actually pay attention to what's going on the radar and actually pay attention to what's going on around me. That's good. Something that I didn't expect about this change is that it actually made base assets feel a lot more impactful. Radar and gen are a lot more important now. I know part of that is because there's the whole stealth capping thing going on. To be honest, that's not as much of a problem in my casual level games, but still, just in general, having radar felt a lot more impactful, and it was especially a lot more in your face due to that effect when it gets taken offline, right? Granted, I still wish that the generator did more things. It still feels not super impactful, and I also wish that it wasn't so easy to kill both it and the radar, especially the radar. The radar is in a place that is very exposed on basically all of the maps, and it's extremely easy to just spam it from a long range with a spin fuser and just take it down in a few shots. And what is the enemy team going to do about it? Have somebody that has to commit to chasing them on the sidelines or through to the midfield just so they can stop this person from shooting the radar, and then they can start repairing it, which still takes forever, even with the 2 times repair rate that they added this patch. Yeah, it's a bit weird. I didn't expect this to be as big of a fix as it actually was, but the spawn position of projectiles feels a lot more accurate now. A lot more accurate now. It feels like it's actually coming from your gun. Meanwhile, before it felt delayed and like it was coming from behind you. I think there were people that actually found that you could hit the wall behind you if you were touching it, because it was actually spawning from behind you. Weird stuff. But yeah, it feels a lot better now. The projectiles also look better. They have a little bit more detail to them. Just a little bit more flashy. I think that's pretty nice. This is a change from Playtest 6, but I'm really glad that they toned down the damage on a lot of the weapons. More specifically, a lot of the direct hit damage. I was one-shotting lights with the heavy crossbow all the time before this change, and every single time it just felt incorrect. Unfortunately, it was very much the optimal play. If you can do 1,037 damage to a light, why not pick the weapon that does that, right? But that's not an option anymore. That's good. You can't just one-shot lights anymore. Lights already have problems feeling a little bit weak, and they don't need to be able to be one-shot like that by multiple weapons, honestly. I think it was also the medium honor fuser that could one-shot them. Though there is no honor fuser in this playtest. I assume they're going to be coming back and they've only been temporarily taken out? I don't know. We'll see. Also from Playtest 6, I'm glad that the point limit is back to 5. That plays so much better, honestly. And I'm so glad that flags and nuggets don't fall through the map anymore. That was so unbelievably frustrating. I haven't seen it once. Does not happen anymore. That's great. I do wish the flag was a little bit less bouncy, but that's so much more minor of an issue than the flag falling through the map. So glad that's gone. Good riddance. Also, good riddance to the 12-second respawn timer on self-death. We needed that, especially since we still don't have melee, which is still disappointing. I hope they bring the shock lance back at some point, and I hope that they just add a general melee. Honestly, I just think that'd be fun, and I don't really see any reason not to have it. I know Era says that they're not prioritizing it right now, which is fine. There's bigger fish to fry, but I do hope it gets added eventually. I don't really see any reason for the game not to have it. Team Hunter seems like a lot of fun, but just like my bad map luck, I just never got cued into it. Not once. I don't know, it looks like a lot of fun to me. I really enjoyed Kill Confirmed back in my Modern Warfare 3 and Black Ops 2 days, and I'm sure it'd be a lot more interesting in this game, especially since you have to turn your points in, and movement actually is interesting as opposed to Call of Duty, but yeah, I hope to be able to play that next playtest. I don't know, I'm gonna have to do custom games, I guess. I really appreciate that Prophecy has been a lot more communicative as of recent, whether that's within the patch notes where they actually explain some of the reasons that they're making some changes, and also potential future iterations of the things that they're already changing, what it is that their intent is. I think that's great. They have also been talking a lot more in the feedback threads in Discord. Just keep it up, honestly. Great stuff. I've got some mixed feelings on the new flag physics. On the one hand, I do appreciate that they actually do want to encourage passing now, especially with that change where you could just insta-transfer to teammates that are close enough, which, a bit weird, but they're encouraging team play, which I still think is a good thing, right? And the flag physics are now actually based much more on your momentum now. That's pretty cool. But it's pretty damn powerful now, especially since you can actually hit the flag with an actual explosive impulse. I don't know if that was a thing in the previous games, but I know that in this game that might be a little bit too much, and also just kind of annoying for duels. I actually had it happen to me twice where I was fighting somebody that was about to grab my flag, and I wasn't in a position where I could shoot them from above or from the side enough to be able to get them off the flag. I didn't have any nades to do it, so I just shot directly at them, try to do as much damage, hope that I can kill them before they get to the flag, and then they went right behind the flag, and I couldn't hit them because I hit the flag, and no splash damage hit them. If anything, if more for making duels feel more consistent and not be as annoying, maybe the flag shouldn't have a hitbox that interacts with weapons. I don't know. I think the changes they've done to the chain guns are pretty interesting. They've added these very, very visible tracers now to all of the chain guns, and I think that's probably for the better. It makes aiming with them a little bit easier when at long range, especially if you're trying to, hit some shots while zoomed in. It especially helped with that. And it also makes you be able to figure out, okay, I'm getting shot by a chain gun, look down, and then I can actually see who's actually shooting me from behind as I'm trying to escape with the flag. That's great. A little bit concerned about it from a visual clarity standpoint, but we'll have to see. I don't feel like I ran into too many situations where it felt like it was too obstructive. If anything, it just kind of looked better. I also think the change of making the Storm Slicer have more spread as you go faster is interesting. I don't know if I necessarily like that approach, but I do appreciate that they are making clear what their intent is, and that they want to have a look at potentially making chain guns maybe not as powerful as they are after all the changes they did to all the weapons, to the projectile speeds. We'll see how that turns out. I unfortunately got a few non-registering direct hits in this playtest. I thought that went away. I don't remember getting any in playtest 4 and 5, but it's definitely back now. It's not as prevalent as it was in the very early playtests where that happened all the time. I think it'll happen to me twice this playtest. But it is back, just something to be on the lookout for. They're clearly aware that there are still problems. There's problems with registration, there's problems with player movement stuttering. It's still a thing, not as bad as it was in playtest 4 and 5, but getting better. I'm seeing in every single patch that they say there's networking improvements. I'm sure they're going to continually work on it. It was long overdue, but they finally changed the jetpack physics to actually give you more air control. We needed that for so long. It's enough to be noticeable, because what we had before was so little, and now we actually have something. It still feels pretty weak. I still wish I had more, and I still really wish that I could just hold W and jet and actually gain speed from that. I don't think you do currently. I think what they did was just give you more air control, which is good, but I just wish I could also use my jets to just gain some lateral speed. That'd be great. It was a thing in the previous games. I don't really know why it's not a thing in this game. Maybe the devs are a little bit more concerned that adding too much air control would make duels a lot harder for the newer players, but if anything, I'm going to make the exact same argument that I made last time. As a new player in the older games, just holding W and jetpack and going fast feels good. I'm really looking forward to playing more with the mortar launcher after they buffed it. It feels a lot better. I didn't really bother with it until near the end of the playtest, and I kind of regret that because I was having a lot of fun with it. I'm going to keep harping on this issue because it is definitely still an issue and needs a lot more work, but optimization is improving. I felt it, I saw it in the numbers, 100% it's getting better. I have noticed that the pop-in has gotten more aggressive. At least they have seemed to have fixed the pop-in when it comes to props. I haven't seen like towers in the distance and props on the ground pop in like I used to see in the previous playtests. But the foliage pop-in has gotten a lot more aggressive. I'm seeing grass render like right in front of me while I'm going fast. But like I said in previous videos, I would rather have that than have worse frame rate. You know, if I could turn this game to honestly like a low graphics option, I would. But there are no low graphics. There's just whatever normal is, which is a little unfortunate. I mentioned this in my previous video, but I think I need to make a dedicated section to this showing examples. I'm getting very tired of the way that reloads work in this game. You might not have noticed it, but you can actually trigger a faster reload by pressing R immediately after shooting. And there might be some people that see that and think, well, I mean, that sounds like a skill. It sounds more complex. Surely that adds something to the game. Personally, having done it for the last, like, 4 playtests, it's just getting tedious at this point. Especially in a game where almost all of the weapons immediately require reload after shooting once. Having to press R that often is getting really, really tiring and annoying. And I could just not do it, but I mean, think about the competitive players. If they want to be optimal, they're gonna have to do it every single time because it's going to give them a huge advantage in duels and in general. There's no reason not to do it unless you just don't want to deal with it, which is just kind of stupid. Every single time that I play an FPS other than Tribes 3 as of recent, it is genuinely a huge relief whenever I realize that I don't have to manually reload after every single shot. It is distracting, it's annoying, it's tedious, it's not skillful, it's not that hard to do, and it probably messes with the balance of the game. There's been some attention put recently into how quickly the spin fusers can shoot in the recent patches, and I'm sure this messes with that. I don't see any reason to keep this in the game as is. Something else that I'm getting very annoyed with is the current state of the Chaser perk. It is very, very inconsistent. I can never tell when it is that I actually have the free disc jump. It used to be more consistent. It used to be just, oh, is the flag not at your stand? It doesn't matter if you just respawned. Okay, you've got it. Go for it. You have your free disc jump. But there's still no visual effect or anything at all to indicate what's going on. Like, if there are consistent rules, at least let me know what those rules are, because I can't tell by just guessing. Something that happened when I played Tribes Ascend a few weeks ago is that I went heavy offense, and I didn't know what I was doing with my loadouts. I just picked something. I think I just picked the heavy spin fuser and mortar and just went and didn't bother configuring anything else. And I guess I had a pack on that enabled rage. I had my flag taken, and then my weapon just all of a sudden glowed red. At the time, I didn't know what that meant, but it glowed red. I did a disc jump, and then I noticed I took no damage for it. And then I immediately understood what it is that meant. I had to have no tutorial. It just immediately made sense from me just playing with the game what's going on. I don't know why there's no visual feedback for the free disc jump on Chaser. I feel like it's worth mentioning again, even if we likely aren't going to get any budging on this, that weapon speeds are probably still a little bit too fast. I talked about this last video. I know I'm not the only one. I know there's a lot of people saying that it's still just a little bit too much, and we could maybe dial things down. It's been better ever since Playtest 5. Them reining in the hitboxes and slowing projectiles down just a little bit helped a lot. It could still be better. If their argument is that they want it to be faster projectile speeds because they care about the new player experience a lot, I can understand that. That makes sense. My problem with it at this point is that I'm still getting a lot of shots that look like they shouldn't have hit. And I don't know if that's a projectile size thing. I don't know if that's a networking thing. But whenever that happens, that just feels shitty. It may not have gotten buffed recently. I guess technically it actually got nerfed because it's actually made a little bit more transparent what's going on with the health values. The shield perk feels like it's getting very oppressive, at least in my casual games. It's very, very disheartening to direct hit someone and then they pop shield, and all of a sudden the advantage you got from hitting the first shot or maybe outplaying them at the beginning of your duel just goes away immediately. They are now back to basically full health, and you still have to outplay them. You are now playing against somebody that has the effective health of a heavy, but has the mobility of a medium. They also have the ability to choose when to use this health pool at any time, and it's not like the cooldown for it is particularly long either. I've really not had any fun playing against people with shield, and using it myself just feels cheesy. And one more complaint for the road, please give us text chat. Even if you don't want to give us global text chat where we can talk between teams because of toxicity reasons, like, I think that would be silly, but at least just give us something, especially because it would be good to have VGS messages separated from the kill feed. Having them be intertwined is very cluttered and just not good for communicating to your teammates. All of my complaining aside, honestly, the game is in the best state that it's ever been. We're getting better maps, we're getting better weapons, we're getting better class balance, we're getting some better performance, we're getting a lot of good things. We even had a pretty good tournament as of recently that turned out surprisingly well despite us not having spectator mode, which was a little scuffed, but regardless, was still fun to follow. We keep on getting a lot of good things, and progress is pretty consistent. I feel like I'm seeing more of a concrete direction that the game is headed in now, and that gives me a little bit more confidence in the game, and in the devs too. It's been a little weird following all these playtests and all of the weird directions that some of them have taken, especially after playtest 4 and 5. There was so much shit going on at the time that I really, really didn't like, and a lot of my concerns back then have already been addressed or are going to be addressed, which I think is pretty cool. I'm sure that even a lot of the complaints that I have in this very video are probably going to get addressed. Maybe not next week, maybe not the week afterwards, but it's going to happen at some point, right? Progress is consistent. There's a reason I have it in my disclaimers, because I want to make it clear. even if there's things that I'm not happy about, there's things that I'd want to be different that aren't as good as I'd like, I truly do think the game's heading in the right direction. We're getting there. Slowly but surely. Thank you, Prophecy, for working on this game, for reinvigorating the Tribes franchise. Thank you for dealing with all of the complaining that we've done, including my complaining. I'm sure even I've been a little bit unreasonable at times. I'm just hoping for the best for this game. I hope you all have a good day or good night. Thank you very much for listening, everyone.